Hello my profane friends, I'm now going over at this graveyard here. Obviously you can see the whole graveyard, look. And you see the obelisks, look. Yeah? See it my profane friends? But look at this graveyard, you watch. But I just want to show you these houses, look, that have been Masonically built by the Freemasons, look. You see it, look? 3 levels, 2, 4, 6. See it, look? 1, 2, 3. 3 times 6, 6, 6, 6. Same as here, look. 3 times 2, 4, 6. 3 times 6, 6, 6, 6. See what I mean? And that's how they get you living. Or you can go like that, it gives you their Masonic 9, look. 3, 6, 9, you see? That's how they get you living in their Masonic symbolism of 6, 6, 6. You see what I mean? And it never changes. No matter where you live, where you are, everything's 3. And they get you, and I'll tell you what, if you measure the inside of your houses, I bet you they're cubes. Do you know what I mean? Oh, how exciting it is. The profane live in a Masonic world, yeah? And it's built on being, the more misery they can serve on people, the better it is. You know? Because that's what their Luciferian God loves. Misery. Right, I'm here. Wait a minute, calm down. But look at the front of this, look. What do you reckon, guys? You know what I mean? Would you want to be buried in this Masonic graveyard? You know what I mean? That's if you even get buried anyway, and you end up in a McDonald's. Look, 3 circles make a square. Square and compass, 33 degrees. You see what I mean, my profane friends? You see? And then you got the 5 points, look. See, the 5 pints of Freemasonry. And then what do you think these world domination balls that are sitting on these perfect ashlars are? And obviously you got the world domination ball on top. You know what I mean? What do you think these are, look? You know what I mean? The cemetery opening hours. You see what I mean? Pure Masonic. Look, who do you think run this cemetery? No, I just want to. I ain't going to go running all over the secretary. You know, I'm just going to have a little look, just a peek-a-boo. You know what I mean? But look, you see the big urns. Look, these urns, right? They're all Masonic. Look, you see? Big important people when they've got a big urn on top of their little, see the little urn over there, look, you see? Well, they wouldn't tell you that. These are Omega signs, look, these are the Omega signs, yeah? Fleur de Pis on the top, look, you see? Fleur de Pis. See, look at that urn, look. Christ, that must have fell off it there, look. Oh God, I bet that weighs some. How much money do you think that cost? Do you think a profane person bought this? You know what I mean? That's like, cool, that's tonnage, that is. Not weigh a bomb. But I just want to have a little butcher in here just to show you how prevalent these Freemasons are within every town and city. And I've seen plenty of Masonic urns. I've seen no obelisks yet though. You know what I mean? Oh, there's a little one there, isn't there? I don't know what's on top of that one. No, it's another Masonic urn. There's another Masonic urn there, look. You see, who do you think's buying all this? Do you see what I mean? All these grave sites, do you see? Because they've been running our towns and cities for decades and centuries. You see these little Freemasons, and they ain't going to go anywhere. They're not going to ever eradicate themselves because they're well established and they've got it on the best of the best of everything. They own the businesses. They're receiving all the money. You see, look, 4 pyramids. Each one of these, because you know it's 3 points. Look, I've shown you, makes the Masonic cube. You see, all Masonic 666. You see? And it's the lairds, the earls, the dukes, the lords. Look at these, look. Do you think the people buried in these proper grave sites, yeah? Do you think there's any profane person there that worked in a bakery or a shop? Look, you can see look, you can see the obelisk poking out the top, look. Then you got the pyramid, you see? Same as that one, but it's looking down on top of it what gives you the real symbolism of it all. Like I said, it's all not just simple where you just look at the front of it, it's what's on top of it by looking down upon it, yeah? But do you think all these grave sites here, look, all these, yeah? You think these are profane people? Not a one of them are, I'm telling you that now. It goes all the way up here, look, all of these. Very clever the way they hide it in plain right. Do you think someone at Tesco's could afford a bit of granite like that? You got no chance, you know what I mean? Look, see, this is the elite of Inverness. There's another Masonic urn there, look. See? Their money knows no bounds within every Masonic lodge. You know? Yeah, there's your favourite, look. I bet you that's a well important family, look at that. And then you got your perfect, well, I must be back in Washington again. You know what I mean? See, there's your Pharaoh, your G traveller. You know what I mean? Working for the Pharaohs, you know, within your communities, making sure you serve them in the life, and hopefully serving them in the afterlife and all. But I'm now beginning to see, as we get up in here, the bigger and the better the grave, you see. All these are important people, look, and they're all Freemasons. You see what I mean? See, timber merchant, look, in memory of Robert Koch, timber merchant, born at Banff on August 18 or 1944, died at Inverness, 3rd of August 1920. And then his beloved wife, you know. But that's what I'm saying, they're all your merchants, you know, and your I forgot what they're bloody called now. Another big urn there, look at that big urn. Oh, what do they call us right there? I can't think what it's bloody called. Wait a minute. Quakers, yeah, they're your merchants and your Quakers, all the business deals they've ever done. This, look, here it is, look. I know that's Masonic because that's the skull. The P represents the skull, and this is the bones, the skull and bones, yeah. And it's the 5 points, yeah, again, yeah. But it's the, you know, oh, I could go right into it, you know what I mean? But you have to watch my videos. But that skull and bones are the Knights Templar, you know. See, all of these. Do you think these are peasants that live in these graves here? No. Again, look, it's an obelisk. Look. And if you look down from the top, that's the important thing. Looking down from the top, but I can't really see it. It'll be a Union Jack. Let me just see if I can get up here on this hill and look down on it. It should be by rights. Let me have a look. Whether you can see that or not, I don't know. But it should be a Union Jack. Look like a Union Jack. If it does, obviously you got the pyramid. Where's that? Let me come out. But that's what it's all about. It's about the Union Jack serving the crown. Yeah. There's another obelisk. Look. See, another Masonic urn across there. Oh, baby. But that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to go around the whole graveyard. I'm sure if I spent enough time in here, we'd be seeing the old funny handshakes and, you know, all of that malarkey. Do you know what I mean? But again, there's another, yeah, look, that's Masonic. Look, you see it? Look, obelisk. And then you've got your, oh, where is it? There it is, look, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye in it. All of it, you know. And you think the peasants are buying these grave sites. No, they're not. You know, the point within the circle, look, you see. And this is your square points, look, the square within the circle. And then you've got the circle within the square. See? And that's how it rolls. And, you know, at the end of the day, like I've said many, many times, yeah, these people here, all their families now are still running Inverness. None of them are gone anywhere. They're still passing the same knowledge down of how to keep people enslaved within every town and city. And it looks like they're doing you favours. They're doing you nothing. You know, like I said, all that money and wealth, look what they put into all this granite alone, yeah? Do you know what I mean? Do you need this sort of wealth showing? No, you don't. You know what I mean? Half of this, if you didn't pay to get this, most of it more than likely was free anyway, because all the undertakers are Freemasons anyway, so they more than likely did the work for free because they got so much money it doesn't really matter to them. Do you see what I mean? But the point of the matter is that if you look for the bigger graves, that gives you an idea, you know. And I could go more into this. I've got videos on it, but you know. Oh, there you go. But I'm trying to think. I lost my train of thought there. But they trick us, do you know what I mean, all the time. But you imagine how many, if the amount of wealth that's gone into this, yeah. Let's just say who's getting the money for this. The undertakers. Who are the undertakers? The Freemasons. That always goes to the lodge. You see what I mean? So even if you're profane and you buy yourself a nice little stone like this, that's going into the Masonic lodge. Okay, and their businesses, you see what I mean? And then that pays for them to have bigger stones, bigger businesses, bigger houses, bigger privileges. Do you see what I mean? You imagine it, if the people that bought all them gravestones over there, and I don't know how many millions of pounds these stones cost, okay, right, just for an instance, right, imagine how many solar panels that would put on people's houses. Do you know what I mean? Just to make people's lives a little bit easier. Do you see what I mean? But they won't do that. Do you see what I mean? Because you're not important. You're profane. You live without the temple. You've got nothing to do with them. You're not part of their nation of people or society. You know? Well, look at all the granite. I can't afford one of these. Can you? If you're profane, can you? Look, it's got the G on it. I don't know what the G stands for, but there you go. You work it out. You know what the petals here stands for. Look, that tells me, look, it's the point within the circle, and the circle is within the square. You see what I mean? Union Jack, look, you see? The Union Jack. So I know it's Masonic. And again, look, in loving memory of, and then we've got the 3 dots on either side for 33 degree. See? But what do I know? You know what I mean? I'm too profane. And like I said, the Freemasons deny it and say it's a conspiracy, and I'm talking rubbish. Because they don't want you to wake up to it, you see? Even the star here, look, has a point within it. So what does that mean? What sort of rank was this person? I don't know. But I know that's the point, yeah? And this is your circle. Each piece of this, that's your circle. Remember, you have to put it in. It's a bit like David Blaine, you know? But that's what it is. It tells me he's a Freemason. You know, I don't know what this marking means neither. Maybe someone else could enlighten us what that actually means, you know? That's one of their crosses, but I don't know. And they got their little, you know, like I said, their symbol is hidden in plain right. And I don't know all of it. I don't profess to know it all, you know? But I just know they don't pour no money back into society or into the places they live. All they do is suck it dry, you know, and leave people living in poverty when they don't need to, you know. All these people anyway, if they all had their own houses, you could bury them in your own garden, as I've said, whether it's cremation or whatever, and you do it properly obviously, but then you ain't got to come to this graveyard to lay flowers down. You can lay it down in your own property. Do you see what I mean? There's enough, you know, there's enough land to go around for everyone, but they want you living in these cities and in these towns. They're controlling you. The mingers are coming out. Oh, the mingers, they bite me like, no. The mingers up here, I tell you, they're ruthless. They're biting everything. Killing, baby. But all of this, you know, the dovelet, you got the pyramid again, look. See it? With the circle, the dove. You know, dove, there's a lot of doves in here. I know that's Masonic, within the circle, of course, look. See the points within the circle there as well, look, you see? Oh, they don't stop these people. You know what I mean? I don't know what this sign is. It's definitely a Masonic Mason's mark, I would have presumed, yeah? And that looks like it's actually been put in, you know, at a later date by the look of things. Are they marks for witchcraft or something? I don't know, you tell me. But I know, you know this, look, that's 4 square, look. 4 square, there's your square and compass. See it, look, your square and compass once, square and compass twice, 3 times, 4 times, 4 square, that's what that is. The point within the circle within the square, and then the squares within the circle. You know it's Masonic, but what that mark mean now, I don't know. But there's a few I've noticed. You know what I mean? I don't know what that mark is. Someone could enlighten us maybe, who knows. But that's what you're dealing with, you know, all these Freemasons. You know, all this money and wealth, and nothing's gone back into the communities. But these are all your business owners, you know, the ones that, you know, are the, you know, that special people within your community that get the chance to have a market stall. You know, it always starts from a market stall, a simple shop, you know, anything to keep them, you know, occupied. But they're the little shields, or the ones that protect those elites, you know. And they look like they're doing, yeah, I have this business here, look after that, will you run this for me? Yeah, mate, I'll do this and I'll do that. And that looks like that, you know, and that's what it is. They think, oh, he's looking at me, but it ain't. You're looking at their best interest, and they're not doing it because, you know, you're sort of special or anything. They're doing it because it's keeping them in power all the time. You know, look at this door, look, what does that tell you? Crocking hell, baby. I daren't swear in here. But look at this door, look, what does it tell you? It's madness, look at this. I've never seen anything like it. I'm telling you now, baby. Now this is a modest mausoleum, I presume, but look at that door, look. 3 circles, 3 circles, 3 circles make a square, yeah? Okay? And then it's 7 total, so that's your G, and there's your square, and there's your compass on the door. You got your 4 pyramids, look, and the circle within the pyramid, and you've got your Union Jack, look, and it's a point within a circle. The circle is within the square, and obviously there's a lot more to that, but there it is, look, you see, 7 circles make the G, see, which puts it right in the square and the compass. See, some big mausoleum that belongs to some high-ranking Freemason, you know, or Pharaoh, you know. But again, how much money do you think that went into that? You see what I mean? You know, I'm not like, you know, it's nice to have a stone to the people you remember. I'm not dissing that. I'm just saying money is wasted and put into things, you know, like people are buying all these Ferraris. They've got 10 bedroom houses, 20 bedroom houses, 14 toilets, 16 toilets, all this extravagance, you know, especially the drug dealers. You see what the money they're spending, you know, like some of them will try and buy a brand new car for their 6-year-old child, and then everyone on the post is going, cool, yeah, you're the best, you're the brilliant, you know what I mean? And it's just all come from drug money, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, I know, I watch, I see. But look at all this, you know what I mean? Look, all this wealth, all this money, all this power, and not one thing has gone back. There's homeless people, do you know what I mean? You know, these 2 stones here alone could home someone, more than likely buy a house. Do you see what I mean? You know, obviously they're red. I'd call them the Rose Croix. Do you know what I mean? Again, remember the colour. You know, it's not just about the colour or the pattern. You know, it all denotes the rank. Of course, this must be huge, this cemetery, I'll tell you. Now I've come round halfway round the other side, halfway round this side, and there's just non-stop wealth. Look at that, you know, that obelisk there, look, you see? With the sun hieroglyph. I don't know if you can see the sun. See it, look, the sun, look, of Ra. I think the sun of Ra. Like I said, I don't know at all, but this graveyard must be massive, and there's a big hill there, look. Some of the pots have been taken down off of these, though, look. And I mean, they weigh a bomb, you know. I just tried to move that one back there, and I was like, wow. But look at these, you know, all these people, you know, they're obelisks. That's all they are, they're obelisks, you know what I mean? Again, here, look. Again, these are circles, yeah, that's your circle. That's your 4 pyramids. There's your cross, because it's 4 square. This is your square. And there's your point within the square, you see? And then if you come back, look, what have you got, look? See the square and the compass, look. Square and compass. If I do it like that, it'd be a bit better. See it? The square and compass hidden in plain right. And it's 3 times. Why is it 3 times? Because it's the 6 points what give you the 666 of Lucifer. So the ground has been decimated already by these Masonic families. And look at that obelisk there, look. I ain't going to go no further. I don't need to. But I'll just show you this obelisk here with this black one, look. Look at that black obelisk, and it's got the Masonic urn sitting right on top. Wait there, see if I can get it. There you go, look, with a big Masonic urn on top, look, you see? Look at that. You know, it's just amazing. Look, I am going to go forward a little bit, because every time I get, you know, again, look, this here, we're in it. The tree is right in the middle. This tree here, yeah, this tree here, look, is in the middle of a circle, look, you see? Yeah, see, in the middle of a circle. So it's the point, the tree is the point, and this is the circle, you see, the point within the circle, you see? So this was an important family, or, you know, a generation of people, or whatever, do you know what I mean? And this is why their graves are so big, obviously. You know, I don't know much, you know, I don't know everything about it. I wish I did, but I don't. You know, Masonic urns, look, another obelisk, broken. Remember, a broken obelisk means something, but I can't remember what it means now. And there's another one there, look, what's broken. Has something to do with their god again. I can't remember what it is. But, yeah. And you can go round the graveyard all day long, and you'll find nothing but wealth, power that's came from generation after generation, you know, and they're still running the town now to this day. What are you going to do to get them out? Nothing. You know what I mean? I can't remember what a broken obelisk is now. You'll have to look it up. A broken obelisk. Oh, them guys have gone up there. It must be a big hill up there or something. There's something up there. There's got to be, because the guys have gone up in the you come past on the bike. They've gone up in the trees there. Let me just have a little walk here, just to see. You never know. But this must be where the peasants are buried. Look, you know, look. See the little gravestones. Look, nothing major. All the big boys have got all the big important places. Look, you see. You know what I mean? But there must be something up there, God knows what. It looks like they climb up there quite a bit. The stairs going all the way up. I ain't got time to go now, I'm going for my tea. But look at this person here. Look. How important do you reckon this person is? Now, the importance again, it's looking down. See the little world domination balls on these little points, yeah? You can see them better maybe. But when you look down, that'll give you the 5 points, which is 2, 3, 2. You see, which give you the Masonic cube, yeah? And again, I don't know if you can see it. You'll find that in any Masonic lodge. Yeah, you can see the Knights Templar, look. See the Knights Templar cross, look, within the circle. See it? And then you've got the Masonic flooring going around the edge there, look, which is very interesting, if you know what I mean. Hey, then you've got this one here, look. Look at this, man. See, look. It's all Masonic, all Egyptian. The power and the wealth. Look, that's sitting on a world domination ball, that is, look. You know what I mean? But that's what it is, and it go right round, look. Very important people, these are. Whoever they are. I don't know who they are, what they are, but again, look, you're seeing the Masonic obelisk of Ra. You see, look, how much do you think that cost? Price of a house, you know what I mean? Wow, their power knows no bounds. Anyway, my profane friends, oh, that one down there, that looked interesting. What's that there? Oh, it's an angel on there. I thought it was a Masonic pyramid with an all-seeing eye in it. You know what I mean? Up there it looked like, oh, it's an angel. That's come over. That's really nice. Ever loved and remembered. That's pretty cool. I like that. And the wife and the father there, like, and that, maybe that's the son. I don't know, but he's got a see, isn't that nice? I like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, all I'm saying and basically moaning about is the wealth that goes into here, and then, you know, that's just extravagance, what doesn't need to be, because all this wealth, all this granite, you know, it's nice to, like I said, honour people, but let's put some back into the communities. Hey, the communities are struggling now, aren't they? You know, it's all done through Freemasonry. Like I said, it ain't like, you know, there's got to be something there, because there's another door there, look. Oh, where is it? Yeah, that's the door. Look, there's another door in the side of the mountain here. So whether there's tunnels there or not, your guess is as good as mine. But what the chances? Very good. You know, but I can't see them lads. If they were up there, I'd shout them. And I ain't got time to go up there today. Maybe another day when I come back again, if I ain't been assassinated by the Masonic Lodge. You know, they've had enough meetings about killing me over the years. Do you know what I mean? Let's make it an accident, knock him off his bike, eh? You know what I mean? Or shall we put him in prison? We got him around about 30 months, I think I got on that tape one. I taped once, but yeah, so anyway, that's another story. But there you go, you know. Like I said, they'll try and put you in prison, you know what I mean, and get you assassinated in there. Or just to have an accident, you know, like a Chinaman, German run you over. And they go, oh, it's a Chinaman, it's a German. He couldn't drive on English roads. No, it's just a freak-tard Mason doing a favour for the lodge in another country. And that's all it is, you know. Like I said, that don't matter. They could get a you know, you could start a fight with say, you know, say 5, 6 coloured people, yeah, and they go, oh, you're racist, put you away for a very long time, going, you're racist this, you're racist that, when actually, in fact, the actual people are Freemasons. They're just hiding their Masonic aprons, but bang, right, they've got you and fucked you over, because now you're in their jail and you're amongst their corrupt career criminals, and that don't take a lot of fucking spice to have you assaulted, harmed and damaged while you're doing your sentence. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, the people that are then going to step in, what are supposed to protect you are the prison officers, and they're all Freemasons. Do you see what I mean? So they get to you anyway. And again, that's all in my videos, you know, where prison officers are allowing prisoners to assault, you know, say paedophiles or whatever, you know, when they're supposed to be protecting and doing their jobs. I'm not saying, like, you know, that's a bad, you know, that's a good thing or anything. What I'm saying is about the people that they're doing it to normal people. You know what I mean? They're doing that as a given. You know what I mean? I'm going to open this cell door so you can get this fucking person. Do you know what I mean? When they're supposed to be protecting inmates. But those at the top of the food chain know that they can get in anyone. They can get to anyone. No one's safe in jail ever, because the Freemason who's supposed to look after you, who's a prison guard, he's going to allow them to attack you and get to you, and that's been done many times. Look at this one here, look. Wow, 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 wow. What an obelisk. How many layers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then it's got a capstone on the top. You know what I mean? That's 11. That's if I'm counting right. That could be 12. I don't know, but I got no name. But look at the size of that. That's an obelisk and a half, that is. You know what I mean? Wow, baby. Right, let's get over here. Look at that. Yeah, I'll get you. I'll go from the top again. Look. See? Look at that. What an obelisk in there. That was hidden, weren't it? You know what I mean? But these are the things, you know. We have no control over the power and money that these people have. You know, I mean, look at me, I'm profane, I ain't got a lot of money, I'm peasant. You know what I mean? What am I going to do up against, say, a corrupt career criminal that's well established within the lodge, that has policemen as brothers, has criminals as brothers, has doctors as brothers, who can certify you insane and put you away? You know what I mean? How can you go up against that army or nation of people? Do you know what I mean? How do you do that, you know? How do you go up against these people? Especially when they're Masonic. You know what I mean? Masonic. So, I don't know. You know, I'm not saying all of these are bad, and that more likely, you know, again, Freemasons are hard workers, you know. There's no, you know, you can't get away from that. They do, you know, criminals even do work hard. Do you know what I mean? And I know a few that are very hard workers, you know, but it's all about the money, you know, money. So, but how much work and how much, you know, that's 3, man. Look at that. 3 circles make a square, and then you got these 6 there. Look, you know what I mean? 33 degrees and the world domination balls. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to throw my money at any undertaker ever. Do you know what I mean? Or at a wedding, because the weddings are all owned by hotels. They're gonna, they bury you, they do your weddings, they do everything about your life. The Freemasons are in charge of it. You know, look at that gate. Look, I mean, them circles. Look, see, there's 2, because they know these points here make a square and can't piss. Obviously 3 circles make a square, and away we go. You know what I mean? Anyway, my profane friends, I just thought I'd show you that. I was just driving past, and again, like these windows here, that's just horrendous. You know what I mean? These are peasants live here, I presume. Look, 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 3 6s, 6, 6, 6. You know what I mean? And then you've got your 3, 6, 9, which is the Masonic 9, their magic number. And then you've got 3, 6 windows there. Then you've got 3 again. You see? 3 times 6, 6, 6, 6. And then you've got 3 on this side. Look. Oh, it's all strange, isn't it? I wonder why things are 3s and 6s and 9s, where the poor peasants that are profane. You know what I mean? And then you get these 2 bungalows here with these funny little pyramids on top. I wonder what that's got to do with, you know what I mean? Look, see? And each window, look, is 3. You know what I mean, baby? Nothing Masonic, I'm sure. Now, well, look how tall that, look, there's a right big hill there. I'm going to go up there one day. I'll have a look. I bet you some of the top people are buried up there. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow, who knows? And then you got this gate here, look. You see the gate, look, with the Masonic symbolism, look. See that, look? 2, 3, 2. Hey, wonderful. Anyway, Everything's great. Do you know where the Masonic Lodge is? Masonic Lodge?
Sorry, I don't know.
Do you know it though? You ever heard of Freemasonry?
No.
You're a good girl. I like you then. Have a good day. Thank you. You're the best of the best of the best. She's a good girl. You know what I mean? Like I said, the Profane are everywhere. The Freemasons, you won't know who they are because of one reason: they hide their Masonic aprons. You ain't going to find any Freemasons on here, on this council estate, except the ones that work for them. You know what I mean? Destroying your communities and that, you know? And that's the way it is. That's the way it'll always be. Anyway, have a great day.